We have NBA free agency to talk about. It's about to kick off. Again, I don't know when you're watching this video. You may have watched it and it's already begun and it's already happening. If you're watching it now, right when I dropped the episode, it hasn't happened. It hasn't started yet. Obviously, there's rumors and gossip and all kinds of stuff going around, but it hasn't actually officially hit off yet. So let's talk about it. Let's bring up some of the players here that are available free agents. There's some who are on this list who have actually already found new locations through trades and stuff, but let's bring it up. Again, lots of names going around, lots of teams who are looking to get, their third star, or they're looking to keep their star player, or there's teams looking to build for a playoff push to, give the Nuggets a run for their money, or the Heat a run for money. Even the Heat are looking to do things to improve themselves, which obviously everyone has to do, has to improve right now because the Nuggets are that good. They're too good for anyone to stay, pat and just feel good about what they have and try to make a push again. Let me just bring up this list really quick. All right, here's a list of some of the players that are, at the top of the list for free agency. Obviously, Porzingis already got traded, so that's not really relevant. But everybody got Russell Westbrook, Chris Middleton, opted out of his player options. Some of these guys are going to re-sign, right? Like they're going to re-sign with their team more than likely, very possibly. In the case of like Chris Middleton, will he return to the Bucks? It may happen. Kyrie Irving, highly likely to return to the Mavericks. That's just the way you kind of see some of these guys playing out. But then some, Draymond Green, another guy who likely is to go back to the Warriors. But some of the names that really stick out here and then are going to get a ton of action. Fred VanVleet. I've seen rumors of the Rockets potentially going to offer, I think it was a 2-year, $80 million contract. So he's an interesting name. James Harden is an interesting name right now to see where he goes. Russell Westbrook kind of underplayed where he goes. I mean, I know a lot of people like to say that, Russell Westbrook is burnt out. He's not really who he was anymore. He's just kind of, at the end of his career, a guy who probably thinks he's better than he is, or his reputation is bigger than he, is at this point. I still think he has plenty of impact to make here. I am curious, like when we look at this list, who do you guys think is the biggest free agent available that you would love to see your team sign? Drop it in the comments. Is it a Westbrook? Is it a Chris Middleton? Do you think your favorite team can pry away a Kyrie Irving? Do you think D'Angelo Russell, or Vucevic or any of these guys are big enough impacts to help a team over the hump? Do you think a Draymond Green is actually going to leave the Warriors, or did he leave? Did he pull out of his player option just to allow the Warriors time to restructure a bunch of things? They obviously traded Jordan Poole, they added Chris Paul. Is he actually, looking at the situation and potentially leaving? I don't see how some of these guys could leave the money they were with and the team they were with, with the idea that like, how is Draymond Green getting into a better situation than playing with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and these guys? I don't really see it. He's not really that kind of guy, in my opinion, anyway, to bail. James Harden, I feel like, yeah, he'll find a new team. Chris Middleton, I think, will just go back to the Bucks. Kyrie Irving thinks he's going to go back to the Mavs. Some of these guys, I don't think, are really as big as options in free agency. For me, this year, it's more about, where's Brooke Lopez going to go? Where is Kyle Kuzma going to go? Josh Hart, who else? Who else is a big name? Harrison Barnes. Some of these role player types. Where are they going to go? Where is Russell Westbrook going to go? I'm really intrigued by that. I think that he does still have something left in him. I'm not of the type that think that he doesn't have anything left in him. This also brings up the fact that there's players like Dame Lillard who is asking the Blazers to either get that team older, make more veterans on this team, make it better so that I can compete now because I've kind of not been able to compete this entire time, or get me out of here. So there's these rumors of him potentially being traded to the Miami Heat or some other teams that are interested. That's possible, right? I mean, if you look at the Rockets draft, I actually like the Rockets draft a lot, right? Like I love who they drafted. So I think they did add more talent for sure to help Dame. I just think Dame wants to be around older players, more veteran players, guys who have already proven themselves that don't have to learn the ropes, don't have to get better, don't have to elevate their skills as much. They're kind of just already who they are, right? Like he already knows who they are. So I think that's more what he wants. So if you're Dame, right, and you see rumors like your team could have traded the number 3 pick for Paul George or something like that, right? Like, I think he'd rather play with Paul George than play with Scoot Henderson. And that's no knock on Scoot Henderson because I think Scoot Henderson's fantastic. I think he was potentially the best player in the draft. And so when you look at these kind of things, it's just where he's at in his career and where the team is at and what they can do, whether he believes that these young guys are enough to help him get over the hump, or if he thinks, the team can use these young players with him, but then also somehow pull off some of these vets, like a shocker, right? Like a James Harden to the Rockets or a Chris Middleton or, something impactful that might keep him around. If not, there is a real chance that he gets traded. I personally am not a fan of the Miami Heat, so I don't want to see him go to Miami. So I'd rather him stay a Blazer than go there. Uh, there's some other players on this list who I think are maybe a little underrated, if you will. We got well, not underrated, like Dylan Brooks, super hated, but I mean he did make an impact. Dwight Powell is another guy who's not terrible. Seth Curry, Steph's brother is interesting. Lonnie Walker's out here. Some guys are restricted free agents, so highly, they'll probably return to their team potentially because of that. And there's interesting young names on here, right? Rui, Cameron Johnson, Dante's on here. There's a bunch of players that it doesn't have to be, the biggest names in the world, the veterans that everyone knows and loves and has seen for years do their thing. There's players down here on the list who, and they're going to get paid. A lot of these guys are going to get paid a lot. Even guys who are just specialists, right? Like 3-point specialists, things like that are also going to get paid. In this league, obviously, as we've seen it, change a lot. 3-point specialists are, super, super coveted. So there's a lot of interesting names here. There's a lot of guys that you're seeing all the rumors go around, and you're going to keep seeing the rumors go around. That's not going to change. The rumors are going to continue to fly on where these guys are going. I think it's really top heavy, and then the rest just kind of falls where it does. We'll see. We'll see if you and again, will there be any shockers? Will there be any guys that really surprise people where they go? Because right now we kind of assume a lot of the top guys are going to go to the places that we think, right? The only ones that are really, really, I think, more wild cards are Russell Westbrook, James Harden, stuff like that. You also have, just bring up the list again for a second, Max Struess, right? Like that's an interesting guy who can shoot lights out, and people are going to be interested in him. So there are guys that are going to get deals that maybe people aren't showing a lot of love to. I think he's going to get a bigger deal than people think. Terrence Ross was a free agent again. Some team able to use him as a veteran. Again, looking for shooting, right? There's just some interesting names down there, but NBA free agent, should be interesting. NBA free agent should be interesting. There should be, some big players going around. I don't know if there is a trade like Dame Lillard that's going to outshine anything that can happen in NBA free agency. So this year, NBA free agency isn't that good. The players aren't that big of names. The moves won't be that surprising. Where a Dame Lillard trade wouldn't outshine the entire process. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll see, where Dame goes. Again, I would hate to see Miami, but it is a popular destination for him, and I'm sure Heat fans would love it. Heat fans would go crazy for that. So that would be exciting in terms of just for the basketball landscape in general. And then, like I said, these free agents, we'll see where they play out at. What's your best guess for any of those top guys? Like for instance, where do you think James Harden will go? Drop it in the comments below if you think James Harden are you just going to be out here and be a homer and say he's going to go to your favorite team, or do you have a legitimate place you think he'll go to that will make a difference? That'll make a difference. I mean, is he going to form another big three somewhere? I'm personally tired of those big three type teams. They're not really my cup of tea. I prefer teams that are, more homegrown, built Denver Nugget style, hoping my Magic get there. And that's another thing that came out with Dame Lillard is what's his name? Chris Haynes said that he thinks Dame wants to go somewhere where it doesn't have to be a big three. He doesn't necessarily want to play with, two other superstars. He's okay with a team that is homegrown in that sense, and a bunch of different role players and guys that all just fit perfectly like a puzzle, and it just all comes together and makes sense. And he's just kind of that missing piece. So that's good. I mean, and that does kind of remind you of Dame's personality. So that wouldn't surprise me if that was true. All right, guys, that's it for NBA free agency.